Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a quick video about talking about the speech that the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made yesterday, or the day before, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it was about China, and yeah, it's a long time coming really, and I generally agree with him. So basically, for those of you who haven't heard it, his speech was yeah, it was really strong against the Chinese Communist Party, basically saying that yeah, they are a threat to the free world and stuff like that. And yeah, he's right. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't made a video about it already, addressing it directly at least. But yeah, if you look at the Chinese Communist Party, they you know, there's not even any lip service to human rights in the People's Republic of China, mainland China, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and it's effectively a slave economy. Well, yeah, sort of. It certainly used to be, but now it's just a very illiberal, authoritarian, slightly market society, and it's not a normal country. This is basically what he said. You can't keep treating it as a normal country, because everyone says, oh, like, you know, we shouldn't stop buying from China because it's a free market, they're just better at producing things, and it's like, it's not a free market. You know, every single major company in China isn't really a company. It's not private, it's owned directly by the Chinese Communist Party. This is why you can't have stuff like Huawei, because Huawei can do whatever the hell it wants, and it goes directly to the data goes directly to the Chinese Communist Party. There's nothing you can do about it. And yeah, it's not just about being spied on by your phones. Like, it's clear that the Chinese Communist Party just absolutely despises the idea of freedom, and it's not only imposed that on the 1.4 billion people it rules over, but it's trying to do it around the world. And I think that's part of what this coronavirus thing was, really. I mean, it started in China, pretty much, and Chinese Communist Party didn't do that much to to try and stop it spreading to other countries. They at least claim to have magically stopped it spreading in their own country, but I think that's kind of bullshit. But it's sort of, like, the fact that they were so secretive about it at the beginning and stuff, it seems like they've basically prompted governments around the world to introduce these lockdowns, which I've talked about before and I absolutely hate. And that's just a way to sort of get people to get into that totalitarian status mindset that the Chinese Communist Party has, and it seems to have worked. And I think people always go on about Russia as being a threat to the West, threat to freedom, threat to free market and stuff. But I think that certainly used to be the case, sort of before, like, the 80s, when you had the Soviet Union and it was super powerful, occupying like half of Europe and stuff. And now you look at it, Russia has a GDP the size of Texas at best, and it has a large army, but all its weapons are really outdated, and it's sort of it's a rump state basically, and I doubt it could even occupy Eastern Europe successfully. And so to say that, like, they say that, oh, Russia's always interfering in this election, and that, like, there was a bit recently about them interfering in the Scottish referendum unsuccessfully and the Brexit referendum apparently successfully, but that's just a load of rubbish. The only country really that has the power to interfere in Western elections is the People's Republic of China, and people have just been giving the People's Republic of China too easy a ride, and it's pretty obvious why. Because you have a totalitarian government that can basically enslave its people. It doesn't give a shit about human rights, and so from the 70s really, when it opened up and sort of became like a fake free market, it's been producing cheap shit for Western consumers to buy and stuff. And it's like the short-term economic benefits of trading with China were so good that neoliberals just didn't give a shit about human rights and stuff, and they saw it as free trade, and they even gave China special preferences, which China used to steal technology and do dumping to put other foreign companies in the same markets out of business and stuff. And they just really I think the narrative was that China would eventually when it was seeming to liberalise economically, it would also liberalise in other ways, sort of like how the Soviet Union did. Of course, there was a bit more of a crash with that, but that certainly hasn't happened. If anything, things are getting worse. Everyone goes on about the UK having the most CCTV, but it's China now. They have facial recognition, they spy on everyone, and they got it in for not just for their own people, but for everyone around the world. I mean, look what they're doing to Africa. It's basically colonialism. They build their own shops there and stuff. They build their own railways, and then they say, no blacks allowed and stuff. It is colonialism. If anything, it's worse than what the Europeans did back when everyone was doing it. And what they're doing in the west of China, or I wouldn't call it China, but in Tibet and Turkestan, they're the genocides that are going on there. They are on the scale of the Holocaust, if not more. But people just seem to conveniently ignore it. And whenever you mention this to someone who's trying to defend China, they say, "Oh yeah, but Europeans did it and stuff," and that's not an argument. You condemn what European colonialism did. Condemn this, And so people have been giving China a free ride for way too long. And if you compare what's going on at the moment, if you look at what's going on at the moment in China, what they're doing to their minorities and stuff, and just to human rights in general, it makes Nazi Germany look liberal. It makes Nazi Germany look soft, And it is China is committing the worst human rights atrocities in modern times, easy. And the West has allowed China to get way too much power, and I think that's partly why we're seeing all this curbing of freedom being encouraged in the West right now. And it's like the World Health Organization, just to give a solid example. They were talking about China. They're always backing it up, saying how great China is. The spokesperson is communist, so that's sort of no surprise. And I remember in an interview they were talking about Taiwan, and someone was asking one of these guys who works at the World Health Organization, "Oh, what do you think about Taiwan? Do you think it's great?" And the guy would just pretend that he couldn't hear them and stuff. And basically they pretend Taiwan doesn't exist and all that. I mean, they probably don't care about Palestine. I'll say Palestine exists, but so the World Health Organization is it's plain as day to see that the World Health Organization is compromised. It is basically a Chinese puppet, and the same with a lot of African countries. I think some Eastern European countries, some Balkan countries. I think Serbia is quite a Chinese puppet. I think Burma is, and and sort of Russia's kind of. I guess it's sort of always been playing both sides between the West and China. At the moment, it seems to sort of be more friends of China than not. It's we are certainly living in a new Cold War, if not worse than this. Because again, if you compare China to the Soviet Union, even back in its heyday, China, comparatively speaking, has a way larger economy, way higher population pool, but the scary thing is that people don't even really think about it like that. People don't even know it. They sort of pretend not to get it. They'll just buy their cheap Huawei phones and stuff and cheap plastic, and they'll go out and protest about Black Lives Matter, but then they won't give a shit about how black people are banned from like McDonald's in China and stuff. So yeah, it's a double standard at the end. It's a double standard at the end of the day that really annoys me. I just want to have a moan really about it, because it needs to be said more. I know Nigel Farage came out and talked about it the other day. There's been a few people in the British government actually also who have recently come out and talked about it. I mean, well, when a country like makes you crash your own economy, you're going to be a bit pissed off with them, right? But another reason I don't like Boris is because I think his opinion might have changed slightly over recent months, but back last summer when he just became Prime Minister, he had an interview and he said that like the UK will have a very pro-China approach, and he's praising the Belt and Road Initiative and stuff, and doing more trade deals with China and stuff. And that really, I didn't see it at the time when it came out, but if I had, I would have disliked him from the start. But it's the argument that it's a free market, China are just better at things. It's not true. China is not a free market. If anything, it's just a really smartly run totalitarian state. And similarly to how Nazi Germany was, it's National Socialism. Like you'd have companies in Nazi Germany, but they were all sort of subject to the government at the end of the day. China is basically the new Nazi Germany on cocaine, and people need to really wake up and realise that, and try and find alternative means of trading and stuff, because things can't go on the way they are. If business as usual as kept with China in 10-20 years time, it's going to be too late. There's going to be no freedom of speech at all. It might already be too late, but people were just obsessed with short-term benefit, right, for their businesses and stuff. Buying cheap shit from China. They didn't give a shit about what's going to be like for their grandchildren. But it's not looking good. The sooner that people wake up to China, the Chinese Communist Party. Taiwan's great, free country by all. It seems generally to be a free country, and that's great. Great ally. You could almost argue they're the rightful government of China. The sooner people wake up to the Chinese Communist Party, the better, because they're bad news. They are bad news. They don't give a shit about your human rights. They just they just want to rule over you. It doesn't matter if you don't live in China. They're trying to take over. They are trying to take over the world at the end of the day. And this is a really serious video, I know, but it's true. And I've known that they've been trying to take over for a while, but it is seriously the biggest issue of the century, I think. Way bigger than Black Lives Matter, way bigger than Brexit, way bigger than all this crap with Russia. It doesn't really, it's not really even a problem. It's the biggest issue of the century, and it's like people talk about, historians talk about the Chinese century of humiliation, sort of like from the 1850s to like around about 1940s, 50s, when the Chinese Communist Party took over the mainland, and that was a really shitty time for China, not just quality of life but national pride. They were under effective occupation by European powers, balkanized, then Japan sort of came in sort of around World War II and before and really fucked things up. It was truly a century of humiliation, and ever since then, ever since World War II really, so for the West it seems like the century of humiliation. Like giving up colonies is fair enough. People should be free to govern themselves, but like giving up, like Hong Kong wasn't really given up; it was given back to another colonial power and stuff. And we're seeing right now huge recessions because of China, and yeah, huge curbing of human rights and stuff. And you know, that sort of just leads me to conclude that this is the West's century of humiliation, and the sooner people realise that, wake up to the Chinese Communist Party, the better. Yeah, I think I'll wrap up the video here. I've been going on for quite a while about this, but it's true and it has to be said. So yeah, guys, like, subscribe, try not to buy Chinese, and you know, the food's great, but I'm talking about, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.